All right. The party continues as we shift gears for the remainder of today. We're going back to showcasing BB distribution. Some cool sessions, especially starting with this one, which is kind of like a part two. We originally started with Ground Zero the other day, but we're going to get the entire Ground Zero crew, which consists of Jacob Brown, who is the director, as well as my boy Justin from BB. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper, Justin.
Yeah.
We're going to dig deeper on this brand called Ground Zero. We've been spending a lot of time introducing. We've talked about the story, where it came from, the lineup, the whole overview. So I am very curious, what are we going to target in on now? But before we do that, let's go on and bring in our specialist, Mr. Jacob Brown, Director of Operations for Ground Zero.
What's up, guys?
Before we get started, I wanted to say, as I said in our opening here, the rest of this evening, we're going to be with BB Distribution once again. And for everybody who's tuning in, make sure you stick around to the end. We got a big party at the end. It's called Tech Tracks. Justin, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, Tech Tracks is kind of our way of giving back to everyone who's spent the grueling hours listening to me talk over the last couple of days. And, we got a ton of people who watched it. We got a ton of submissions from the code. So we're going to do a couple of live draws live giveaways, I should say. We just don't have time to do every single draw, but we've done the pre-draws. So we're going to do all the giveaways on our Tech Tracks. It's something that we started at our expo a couple of years ago as just, like I said, a way to give back and a way to give some product to some people who maybe have never had a chance to try it, which is the fun part too. And I mean, it's super exciting. It's just a little reward for being faithful or being new. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. So let's get right to it. We're talking Ground Zero. Let's get down and dirty with the GZ. Go ahead, Justin.
So tonight's a really fun episode for me. So this is where like my blood lies in this particular audio group. We're talking specifically tonight about the uranium level of stuff, as well as a little bit about the DSPs. And uranium is essentially the forte into the SQ line of Ground Zero. Like the pure SQ stuff. So it's really exciting. I got some really cool things here. We got the brand new uranium speakers here, an a la carte project. We got the Uranium 6 channel, which is just honestly a work of art. We got their 4.8 DSP, as well as their integrated 8-channel DSP 4-channel amplifier. And that's just going to be our quick glimpse into the uranium line. And what makes it so special, we continuously talk about where the dollar value lies with Ground Zero and the kind of way that the product itself supersedes what you pay for it, and in this lineup, I don't want to say that that's necessarily the case, but again, it is. When you get the touchy-feely in here, it's crazy. You're just like, no way this should be this, right? Jacob and I talked about some things such as even the grade of neodymium magnets, selected for the speakers. It matters. There's different grades, and Jacob will touch on that. But we're going to go over to Jacob now, and he's going to give us, like I said, that kind of quick. We'll start off with a brief kind of overview of uranium and where it is and what kind of makes it special.
Yeah, absolutely. Uranium, as you mentioned, that's our first pure lineup of a singular group of products. So if you look at the lines down, if you look at the lines up, you actually see a lot of crossover between the name and the style of audio. So yes, there's some SQ, yes, there's some SPL, except for uranium. Uranium is the true SQ lineup that really just kind of talks about itself. So, we look at the speakers, we look at the subs, the amplification setup. This is all product that's really designed to work incredibly well together and also kind of mix and match through the other SQ gear. So the 6 channel that Justin's got sitting right in front of him is honestly one of my favorite amplifiers that I have played with to date in my career. This amp is, to me, kind of the epitome of the best of both worlds. So it's a great amp to run a 3-way active setup. It could be used in a 3-way quasi-active setup with 5 and 6 bridge to a sub. It could be bridged into a gigantic 3-channel. So it's really one of the most versatile amplifiers that I've ever used for this style of amp. So, just a big SQ amp. Again, this is the first amplifier that we do that has the adjustable Class AB bias, and I know that that's something that makes Justin tingle. But basically, what that is what that does for us is gives you the ability to custom tune this amplifier. It gives you the dealer, the tuner, the ability to change how this amplifier behaves between more of a traditional full SQ Class A, where you're going to bias it to sit on Class A a little bit longer. It's not going to switch to the more powerful rail as soon. So it's going to kind of hold it there, which is great for mids and tweeters. When you throttle that amplifier gain back, you really kind of hold it in A. Mid bass drivers, however, you're going to want that warmth and clarity down low and in low power. And then as soon as you need power, it kind of kicks over and says, okay, well, here's your power. And then, for 5 and 6, again, bridged on a sub, you go, full power mode with, and full power is going to help control heat. Bias to Class A, you're going to get a little bit hot, a little bit heavy. So, really it is a matter of fine tuning the amplifier to what you need it to do. So that's common across our entire line of uranium amplifiers and up into plutonium reference. So there's a 2-channel that makes gobs and gobs of power when bridged or just as a gnarly mid-bass driver. There's a 4-channel that's great for either a front and rear or 2-way active or 3-way quasi-active setup, for a front end. So the line is really versatile and actually works well with all of the products within the uranium brand or line.
Can I make a comment, Jacob?
Yes.
That is so pretty.
Yes.
I'm like, that is not an amplifier you want to hide under something. Like, you want to show that.
It's the entire front of the amp and down to these large rails down here acts as a heat sink. So it's nice to see all the transistors fastened and screwed to the heat sink. A lot of amps just kind of glue them on now. The other thing that's kind of really special about this amplifier is that the capacitors that are used are manufactured by a company out of Germany called WEMA, and these WEMA capacitors are specifically built for this amplifier and this series of amplifiers. Really? So it's not a capacitor that shares a part number with another common electronic. The tolerances on it are built in specification for this amplifier, and it's fantastic. It's the gold-plated RCAs, and it even gets even crazier when you get to the reference line. The RCAs are rhodium plated, which is again an elemental metal and literally the most expensive metal on earth.
But also much more conductive than even silver.
Yes. So it's the amount of level, detail, and care that you see in this entire lineup is phenomenal. Like, you know what I mean? That, and the fact that, I'm going live right now across Canada with the bottom of this amp off for a reason, because as you progress, when you see this uranium and then you start to get into plutonium, and then at reference, these amps no longer just become amplifiers. They are audible art, and it is really, really cool and really exciting.
Custom caps, that just adds to the prettiness.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's the little things, as Justin mentioned, and when this can kind of transition us off into the speakers, we really do take pride and we really do take care of the things that we are producing. So when you look at, not only the amplifiers in all of the lines from here and above, and even some of the lower ones, there's a lot more pride taken in the series than just more than meets the eye, so to speak. And that really holds true with the new uranium speakers. This is one of the things, this set of speakers, probably one of my favorite sets of 2-way components that I've heard passive in an incredibly long time. And the only thing that I've really truly experienced is, other small super boutique lines. So that custom, crazy, hand-built type stuff. So as Justin mentioned, this is a new driver to us, completely built from the ground up, custom tooled items. But we really went through the checklist and said, if we're going to build the new uranium, if we're going to replace one of the sets of speakers that just holds its own, we need to do something special. We need to do something better. So you look at things like a 2-inch coil attached to or working with an underhung motor to help control motor force down low. We get a lot of traction at low frequencies. So you look at things like its ability to dig deep. You run this thing down to a 60 hertz crossover and it's going to do everything you think it should do. Absolutely. But you're not going to be at the mercy of thermal issues as you would with either a ferrite or maybe a lower quality Neo. So, we really did a lot of things to try and help down low, to help heat, to help age, to help sound, all that stuff. So, you pair that with an aluminum cone that obviously a little bit heavier. So, they take a little bit more power to run. You've got a softened kind of rubberized plastic dust cap, which actually helps function as a shock absorber, helping eliminate cone breakup. We've really gone through, just this one particular driver and kind of tried to check all of the boxes of things that bug us about a traditional 6.5-inch mid bass. And it kind of shows true throughout the line.
Justin, can I ask you to be a hand model one more time, a little longer? I just wanted to get a closer look on the basket of that driver right there.
This one?
Yeah, that big one right there. If you could just hold that up, and I wanted people to see the design of that and where the binding is. I mean, that's
very nice.
That's some nice stuff.
Yes, it's definitely not a joke. The other thing that's really unique to the Uranium series, which is really nice, is as per unlike the Uranium series speakers before, which were really cool. They featured like a pressed wood pulp cone, which was really cool. This speaker's actually sold not as a set now. They've jumped into the a la carte market, which means so the biggest thing that I've noticed when companies are comfortable doing that is when you buy a speaker as a speaker set and you look at the power rating on the box, all right, that's generally an average power rating of the combined total of those speakers, okay? When they start building it a la carte, that means each speaker is designed to do something by itself, regardless of what situation it's paired in, right? So whether you're running a 3-way or, a 2-way active, they even have a passive crossover available for this one. Each speaker is designed to be 100% reliable and solid in any position that you're utilizing it in, which is what makes a la carte stuff so fun, right? It just gives you the kind of endless ability to choose what you want. And I mean, the other thing about this that I really want to talk is the box. I know it's funny, but like this impresses me right at the beginning too. Like, I'll put this over here.
Let's show the box, Just. Here we go.
All right,
there it is.
So the box is just kind of emulates the same type of quality, that matte black Uranium series with kind of like the traditional copper color on it that you see throughout the speaker. And then the Ground Zero Respect the Music logo, right? These guys are serious when it comes to their products and when it comes to kind of the idea and the music. And, respect the music is a saying that they live by, and it's something that they practice and preach. So the new box redesign is nice, and it looks beautiful if it's going to be sitting, with these behind a glass case, most likely, not so much just on the other side of your store.
No, you don't put that on a hanger.
Right, exactly. So I mean, when they say ground up redesign, it's not that the other boxes are shit, right? The other boxes are great, but it's a completely different feeling when you see this product. And now when you see this product in comparison to the amps that you get to hold with it, it all kind of just makes sense. Yeah, and it just keeps, the DNA. I actually should have brought one of the Uranium woofers because it's also one of the prettiest, simplest black woofers that I've seen. And the way that it sounds, like the musicality of it is pretty unbelievable because depending on the jam that you want to give it, if you want to push it, so here's the thing. If you look at a Ground Zero instruction manual on their subwoofers, they got a nice little graph, okay? So it's red, green, yellow, and then red, all right? So the green is your like daily use. And then after it goes to the yellow, which is usually within about 300 RMS of what their power rating is. And it says here for competition only. And then it goes to the red after that says no warranty. Right. So I don't want to say a lot of this stuff is underrated because I don't want dealers turning up that volume control.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah. And kind of pushing it, but the stuff is designed to perform very well. And the versatility of it is extremely awesome. I was telling Jacob earlier that we built a full plutonium speaker system with uranium amplifiers and the 6 to 8 DSP that I have right here that we're going to get into a car. A demo vehicle here was a F350, 14 F350. We put 3-ways in the front, fully run active, and it's been a long time since I put a stereo in a vehicle of that kind of caliber that required almost nothing once we turned it on. I mean, when I turned it on, the RTA was almost so flat and it was so smooth, I couldn't understand it. And I was telling Jacob that, like, I didn't know if it was the speakers. I didn't know if it was the amplifier.
You're tapping the RTA screen. Is there something?
Yeah, right. Or if it was the DSP, or like which of which was producing this, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to, remember when we had the audiophile podcast? Yeah. And you kind of asked the question, what do you think is integral in the most important part of a system? Mm-hmm. And I said all of it. And this is just that testament that, every individual piece has a job to do. And when you got something, it's like a Ferrari, or honestly, even a gun, right? It's fascinating to know that every little piece of that product has to perform to the best of its ability to get the results that's separated from the rest. And that's what I feel like was happening in that demo vehicle.
All right. We got 5 minutes left approximately, Justin, and I know we got to dig into that DSP unit sitting on your left.
Yes. Okay, so I got two here. I got the 8-channel DSP here, which is this one right here. So nice, solid aluminum heatsink, same thing that you'll feel, gold-plated RCAs, inputs and outputs. 6-channel in, 8-channel out. I'll let Jacob talk a little bit about this DSP because it's really a fun piece. It feels great, and it's the GUI is extremely simple to use.
That's one of the kickers that we have to do. If you look at our product lineup and what is encompassed in our entire line, you've also got to take into consideration that we needed to build a DSP that would work with it. So, we're talking all the way up to reference and all the way down to, if you want to build an active Iridium set, you can do it with this DSP. So what we really tried to tackle was again, checking off the boxes, giving you the dealers, the customers, the features that they wanted without having to go crazy. Justin had mentioned this is 6 in, 8 out. It's 6 in low level, 6 in high level, 8-channel output. It also has a digital coax input. It also has an optical input that will run 24:192 native resolution. So for those of you guys that are using digital ends through like an Aston and Kern or Sony Walkman, the new digital media players or whatever they're calling them, you literally have that ability all within one, to be honest, heck of a lot of bang for the buck processor. So we really tried to design something that, as Justin also mentioned, is user-friendly. Our GUI is very clean, very simple. It's all on one screen. You take a look at it and you go, oh, time alignment, EQing. Oh, I can make the adjustment here. Oh, I need to mute these channels. It's all very streamlined and easy. And for us, that was key because of, we aren't maybe necessarily the most ridiculous as far as features or software, but we also aren't, any slouch when it comes to sound quality, the devices that we used internally, and what we really tried to accomplish with this. One of our factory guys is a world-renowned tuner, and he will tune a reference build with only this processor because he truly does. It's that good. And when you've got the backing of kind of mindsets like that, it really sets this processor apart.
Might I add that we did publish quite a few articles early on in the season about a couple of awards that product right there was recognized for. So well done.
We didn't fool around when we built it.
Yeah, one of the other things I want to just talk about on the GUI is the single page view. Like he said, it's really nice to not have to kind of flip around from section to section on this, and it gives you kind of total visibility instantly of what you're doing, right? There's a lot of product features and a lot of DSPs today that kind of get to, I would say, honest to God, now I'll just say in my opinion, that I probably think, maybe are useful to 5 to 7% of the stereos that happen in Canada, right? The feature sets or how deep they dive. But with this one, you hear it. You've probably heard everyone with DSPs talk about it. With this DSP, it's extremely easy to get a repeatable outcome that sounds absolutely amazing with, I don't want to say no effort, but little effort and a little bit and know-how. And the guys at Ground Zero are so good about that. And it's really cool because, Jacob and I have talked quite a bit, and they have audio engineers in Germany, but then they have audio engineers that will test and tune and explain, not just tell you why, but explain why that, maybe you want to use this crossover type or this type of slope. Because there are safeguards in the industry that are awesome and that really help on that predictable outcome. But sometimes when you get to a certain level and you understand how the speaker reacts and the speaker works, there's different ways to manipulate the DSP to get the certain type of outcome that you may not understand. So it's really cool to have a team of guys like the dudes at Ground Zero that are so honestly, world famous and factor in every other country except North America for what they're doing, to be behind you on this product and to get the support that you need or answer the questions that you need. So
especially the involvement of Ground Zero brand within international competition circles. If you Google Ground Zero competition, there's so many builds based on full Ground Zero setups. We're winding down on the hour, so I want to take this opportunity to kind of circle back and just summarize what we just went through here. We're looking at the Uranium drivers, which we now know are a la carte configuration and beautiful, but available in a la carte collection. And one thing I didn't get a chance to say before is that when a manufacturer offers their components in only a la carte, that tells you something. You know what I mean? And that's a total message right there. Next to that, the packaging, of course, we talked about. The Purdy piece you have in front of you, I think it's the wrong way on the board. I think it should go the other way. But that's just me. I love the idea of the capacitors and the components that were specifically brought in just for that application. And I think Jacob touched on versatility of that entire line of amplifiers for SoundQ. And last but not least, the engineering behind the DSP, which although may not be the most intricate or with 50 menus, but from a dealer and installer and market perspective, might just be the right solution for you. Did I sum that up right, Justin?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good way of doing it. 100%. I mean, like I said, the thing with this brand is we could do a half an hour, 45 minutes seminar with Jacob every single day for the next 2 weeks. Before we got,
Jacob's like, no, delete my number. No, just kidding.
Before we got through the whole product line, right?
Yeah.
This is just a really cool thing to urge and entice the dealers to get to this level. We talk about it all the time. As Ground Zero is set up for you to run your store in whatever way you need, and to be able to offer solutions from a single supplier or from me, a single distributor.
Right, but a wide range of
all aspects of your business.
Right. Display boards ready to go, inventory ready to go. This is an unofficial soft launch or real launch, however you want to look at it, of Ground Zero in Canada. Make sure you get a hold of BB Distribution. Jacob, Thank you so much for joining us again, but it was much needed, and your insight is, of course, of great value. Have a great evening, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Happy
you too.
Friday, everyone.
All right. Justin, I got to throw it up. Big party after. And wait, before we talk about the party, there are specials. We need to talk about the specials.
There's like 80-something specials.
86 to be exact.
There's 86 specials. Ben knows. I don't. Just because we're going to trade jobs.
What? I can never do your job, buddy.
And guys, check out the Facebook page. We got specials from Ground Zero, from Sound Digital, from every brand pretty much that we've talked about on the CMA. I want to say big thanks to you guys again as we close out this week. Stay tuned for the French portion, which is going to be really, really fun. And very new to the industry, which is really cool. So I respect you guys a lot for bringing something like that seems to have been like a large oversight in the last 12 years.
Well, I mean, for those who know, it's been a little bit of an oversight. I do want to mention, the deals are in the Facebook groups. In order to get in the Facebook groups, you got to contact your BB representative. They'll get you in and circle back with us in about an hour because we're going to close it out big time with BB Tech Tracks and give away some ish. How's that?
Yeah, man.
All right, man. I'll see you on the other side, bud.
For sure.
There you have it. Ground Zero. Respect the music. Thank you to Jacob Brown from Ground Zero for joining us on that one. And as we continue with a BB Distribution Showcase Part 2, right here, coming to you live from CMA Industry Week. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.